page 150 and just scan through it, and it tells you clearly how to now create the script with all the content you have from us, John.
So
And then
basically, what we're doing now, John, we're just going to go right ahead and create the webinar script.
the way he says to do it. So on page 156, he tells you how to do it, right? He tells you how to do it because it's how Russell does it. It's called an implied instruction. He says,
Mhm.
typically I create this either in PowerPoint, so we're using PowerPoint. So I'm going to teach the next few sessions slide by slide with an image to show the concept behind each one. So don't worry about the image. Let's just get the words on the slides here, John. If you're doing a webinar, this graphic shows what you'd put on the slides. If you're using the script as an email sequence or some other selling system, use the slides as a reminder of what you need to cover at each phase. See, I'm telling you, the PowerPoint slides like help you think. That's why he starts from the PowerPoint slides before he writes the full out script. He gets the slides first, and then boom,
Mhm.
because now you know all the pieces where in every peach goes to, where each slide goes to. Then you write the script in between after you got it kind of laid out with the PowerPoint slides. Let's talk about scripting for a minute. When it comes to presenting webinars, there are two kinds of people. Some like to just look at the bullet points on the slide and improvise. That's not Samina or Scott. And others like to have an entire script written out that they can just read word for word. That's Samina and Scott. Otherwise, we go on tangents and it doesn't work. Personally, I'm in the first group. He likes to wing it, but he's a master salesman. He's been doing copywriting forever. However, the reason we call this the perfect webinar is because we've tightly engineered it to deliver the most conversions. I believe it's as perfect as you can get it, as you can get. So for right now, John, well, I strongly recommend that you script out everything you're going to say word for word. See, he tells us to recommend to do that. That way, you know you won't forget anything. Once you've delivered the webinar live a few dozen times, it will become second nature and you can improvise. Well, since we're not going to be able to practice, a dozen times to perfect it, it's an automated right from the get go. That's another reason why it has to be scripted and done this way, slides, scripting. And even if you say, no way, I don't want to read a script, at least go through the process of writing it down as you go through this section. I really want you to be successful right out of the gate. Let's go. The introduction and the one thing. In a traditional webinar, the first part of the presentation should take 5 to 10 minutes. If you're using this in other selling environments, which we're not, we're going to say 12 minutes max, keep it as close to 12 minutes as possible. You can do this part in a much shorter window. Its job is to build rapport and get people excited about what they're going to learn. Okay, so John, create the title slide, right? Just like you see it on page 157. How to blank without the blah blah, right? How to the result, the achievement, da da da, da without the blah blah blah. I think you sent that headline earlier to us. It was really good. Uh, but anyway, you've talked to us. You know what to put there. The title slide is the first thing people will see when they log on to the webinar or watch the replay. It's got the webinar headline you wrote earlier, how to get this without having to do this. In other words, like how to lose 15 pounds without going on a diet in 8 days, or, how to lose weight while still eating the foods you love, right? What's the result these spiritual entrepreneurs are wanting to get from us? Not a booking process, like what is it without having to do this? Same thing as Joseph, that millionaire, asked us to do for at all the time. The goal here is to encourage curiosity and get people to stick around, right? That's the goal here on slide number 1. Hey, everybody, welcome to the webinar. This is Samina, and today I'm going to show you how to get this without this. Samina, will you say it exactly those words with no issue?
Mhm.
Of course,
Yeah.
right? That's the way your other webinar started to do with integrity choices was. So here's an example. Boom. So create a slide like that. Don't worry about the graphics, John. Just give us those words. Like he's got how to create a seven-figure blah blah blah. We're speaking to people who do not want to spend $2,000 on a course. That we know because that's the only way we could say we fit in there, right? This is spiritual entrepreneurs for whatever reason are not going to spend $2,000 on a course that'll get them there. right? It doesn't necessarily mean just because they don't have the money. It could be they don't have the money, or they've just spent it and they just know, like, none of these courses are what I need. I've tried a few of them. Another course is probably going to end up in me not implementing again, right? So now we know that's the, you know, the only way that's specific. My goal from this web class. So now the title slide might say how to get this without having to spend money on courses or programs